Well, Rishi Sunak at 2:30 addressed Conservative MPs upstairs in a large committee room. He came down the corridor. It was almost regal procession, and he had Mel Stride, his campaign chief, in front of him, Claire Coutinho, one of his backers. The noise when he entered the room, talking about, I mean, it was probably the biggest cheering, applause, banging of desks I've heard in that committee room for a long time. But don't just take my word for it. I've got two Conservative MPs here, both Rishi Sunak supporters, Laura Farris, Rebecca Powell. Laura Powers, tell me what you've heard from Mr. Sunak just now.
Well, he was pleased, but he underscored the urgency of the situation that we're in, the economic imperatives, the fact that we have a sort of very serious, economic challenge to tackle, and that the country will only give us one shot to get things back on track. And he also called for unity, not in the way of sort of beating our heads together, but by reminding us of the things on which we are closely aligned and share in terms of values and on policy areas, and just sort of reminded us that it is only really some of the personalities in the party that cause the tensions. And I have to say, every word he was saying, wherever you looked in the room, whether you were looking at somebody who was maybe more on the right of the party or more on the left of the party, or may not be people who naturally break bread together, every single person was just nodding in agreement. And I think one of the ironies, actually, is that the economic situation is more difficult for him coming in than it would have been had he won in September. But I actually think he will encounter a party that is more united and more determined to get behind him than he might have done had he won 4 weeks ago.
What struck you, Rebecca Powell?
Well, I mean, obviously we did all cheer, didn't we, Laura? I mean, it was a big moment, and we're not going to rest on our laurels. I think that was the big message from Rishi. He did describe it as an existential moment, and to take it, but also he was incredibly, I would say, modest and humble, as he always is. That is the Rishi we know. Yeah. And he fully understands the situation that we're in. And actually, he did say, of course, we're all conservatives who have conservative values, as Laura said. So we believe in low tax and we believe in growth. But those things will all come. But we do have to get the economy under control with the inflation and so forth. So he was very, very pragmatic about that. And everyone was in agreement. And in particular, he did say that he, from my point of view as the ex-environment minister, he did want us to look after the environment, protect the environment, but also growing it and increasing our food production and so forth.
I don't know if viewers can see, but we seem to have a demo behind us going on. We will carry on, though. Laura, did Mr. Sunak mention Liz Truss, Boris Johnson or Penny Mordaunt at all? Yeah, so the first thing he said in his speech was Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, Penny Mordaunt, 3 colleagues who have committed their lives to public service, and then he invited everyone to give them a round of applause and had really warm words for them. I suppose that was him showing the kind of leader that he's going to be. He's not getting into divisions or the arguments that we might have had in the past. And Rebecca's right, actually. He's a really, really humble person, and I don't know that that's always sort of said enough about him. He's incredibly focused, he's incredibly hardworking and able, but so he was unbelievably focused, and you got the sense that he already knew what he was going to do. It wasn't that he was sort of winning and then going to be having a meeting to decide his first steps. He will be starting from today. What makes you more confident than perhaps you were a few weeks ago that Mr. Sunak will do better than Liz Truss did?
Well, A, it's not a competition, and
midway through an interview, excuse me.
B, I think everyone has learnt so many lessons over these last few months. We know that we need to move on from that. And he set his stall out, months ago, and he agreed actually today in the meeting to stick to our manifesto, which is what we were elected on in 2019. And that's why we have to get on and deliver that manifesto. And that's very much about giving people help, support, all the energy support we've given them, understanding the real impact of inflation, the high inflation, getting that under control.
All right, got to stop you there. Yeah. Laura Farris, Rebecca Powell, thank you very much. And the policeman, sir. You're live on Sky News. My apologies.